Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday to everybody. It's a great day because it ends in Y.
Yes.
Just let that sink in. Yeah, this is Dr. Charli, the book mama.
This is Stephanie Palmer, the grammar queen.
And we are here for a little writer's therapy. Okay, so we want to give a couple of seconds for you guys to like, share, tag.
Yes.
We have hashtags now.
Yes.
I'm so excited for today. I have a hashtag. Hashtag book mama. Yes.
There
and
you go.
hashtag grammar queen.
Woo-hoo.
Absolutely.
Yay.
So while we're waiting for y'all to do that, I just want to show you that Stephanie Palmer has looked so intelligent and so smart for all these episodes. I went to the doctor.
Uh-oh.
And I have a thing going.
Uh-oh. Look at there.
I look as smart as her now.
Yay.
I feel so smart. I can't see the computer screen with these on, but I look so smart.
And you look great, by the way, too.
I
You
do.
look amazing.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Except that I need them for distance, not for this. So, but I just wanted everybody to see that I do have the capability of looking as smart as the grammar queen. So we're talking about children's books today.
Yes, children's
I'm really
books.
excited about this because this takes me back.
It does. It takes me back, too.
Yeah. You still get to read to your kids.
I do. I read to one.
Right.
The other three are just like, it's whatever.
So I had this experience with children's books because I have 4 kids too. And as mine were learning to read, I thought that I would read to the younger one and not have to read to the older ones. And that was a complete backfire situation. So I ended up every night that I would read out loud. I would read chapter books out loud to my kids. And it was really for the intention of the younger child, and the big kids were like, why does he get a chapter book out loud? I want a chapter book out loud. And that all worked well and good until they wanted different chapter books. It was like, God forbid I got laryngitis because it was going to be a rough night at our house.
That's funny. That's hilarious. Well, and I'll take it back to my childhood, and then I'll revert back to, reading to my children. But with my childhood, children's books were a big thing. I had the concept of children's books. So I had one grandmother.
Oh, hi, Candace.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning. I had one grandmother that read books to us, and then I had the other grandmother who made up stories. So like the Three Little Pigs it did not end the same way that it does in the book. She created an entirely different ending, but it was so much fun. And then the other grandmother would definitely read every night to me and my sister. We had the twin beds, and she would sit in the middle and she would read to both of us before we went to bed and said our prayers. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So at one point I thought that I was going to be this super awesome mom, and I was going to read Bible to my kids before bed. I figured a little bit of Chronicles would put anybody to sleep, right? And that did not work.
Leviticus, Exodus,
Lamentations. Let's lament over our day. But it actually ended up, I did what your grandmother did, and I ended up making up stories.
Oh, that's awesome.
So instead of Jonah and the whale, we're in East Texas, right?
Yes.
So we got to have just a little bit of redneck in there. So I made up the story about Joe Billy and the big catfish.
Okay, there you go. Hey,
I really did, y'all.
Sounds like a great time.
I really did. I would tell my kids about Joe Billy and the big catfish. Same principles, same lesson, just different characters.
I'm so glad to learn this about you.
I loved it. I had so much fun. My producer's going, I heart you so much.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry. It was just a lot of fun. So do you have like a favorite book from your childhood that you remember?
Say, I know I was, as far as the reading goes, I was a Dr. Seuss person, but also I liked the fable of the tortoise and the hare. If I had to really pinpoint one, I would say that was the one that I really liked.
Y'all, I just loved the pokey little puppy.
I
did in Golden Books. I loved the pokey little puppy. I just felt for that little canine. I really did. Now, I will say though that some of my favorite ones, well, he was a canine.
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, so he had little spots on his behind and little tail. It was really cute. Golden books were a big thing.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
And they really helped shape a lot of my childhood. And then as I got older, I've told you this before, I was a Nancy Drew person.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. I read every Nancy Drew in hardback, y'all. Every Nancy Drew that was printed. Okay. But I would read to my kids. Did you ever read The Mouse and the Motorcycle?
I did not.
Oh, by Beverly Cleary. I think I read that book to my kids. Like, it's a chapter book, but it's a short one. I think I read that book to my kids at least 3 or 4 times. I mean, it was like with every kid, you just kept reading The Mouse and the Motorcycle. It was so fun. Z would love.
Well, see, you're talking about the chapter books. I guess I always thought if they didn't have pictures, it was going to be boring for the kids. So I never read.
You add voices,
and I do voices. I do
I love voices.
I do voices. I so do voices, and especially when the bigger 3 were younger. I mean,
Right.
Everything had a voice, but I always had pictures. Like
Right.
I always.
So the very first chapter book that I ever started reading to my kids was the Miss Mantle Chronicles.
Okay.
And it's just a really, really good story. It's about rodents.
Okay.
It's all these different rodents, squirrels, and anyway, so it's really cute. And they take on this kingdom and this life, and it's about their interactions. And it's a series, and it's called the Miss Mantle Chronicles, and it's by M.I. McAllister. So it was a British woman who wrote this, and I found it, and it just sounded really cute. It's about moles and weasels and squirrels and all that kind of stuff. So I started reading it, and I made the mistake.
You made a mistake?
I did, of using a British accent.
Oh,
and
Lord.
I am not going to repeat it because somebody on here would say that is the worst British accent I've ever heard.
I think you should.
I think you should. Absolutely not. Absolutely
Hey, y'all let us
not.
know. Do y'all think that
No.
she should use that British
No.
accent?
No.
One sentence.
So
You can't bring it up and not do it. I mean, that's like if you said you used to do backflips. I'd want to see one.
That would not be lovely. It would mess with my schedule. Okay.
Did y'all hear it? Did y'all hear it?
So, but I made this mistake. I don't know why, but in my mind, one of these characters, it was like the elderly wise rodent, and I made the mistake of using a British accent. And the next time I got to that part in the story where that character was talking, my son was like, "What happened to him?" I said, "What do you mean what happened to him? Where's his voice? You're messing up his voice." I said, "Oh, so hi, April.
See, she agreed with me. See, thank you, April.
Thank you, April. Oh my gosh. Okay, yes. Oh, Jasmine even chimed in. Okay, so from then on out, I had to do the East Texas version of a British voice for that character in that book. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I did it. It makes it fun.
Good.
Okay, so did you know trivia?
Okay. You put me on the spot like you always do.
Parents, grandparents, adults who read to children increase their reading comprehension as teenagers and adults.
Yes.
So when you read to your child, even if they act like they're not paying attention, if you will keep reading to them and read to them on a daily basis, it increases their reading comprehension. It just skyrockets it.
Okay. Well, let me just ask you. Let's go in. Even the studies that they've done on reading in the womb. Did you do that too? Did you read chapter books when you were pregnant?
I don't think I read them out loud, but I did play Mozart.
I did too with Z. The other 3, I'm sorry, it just didn't happen. But
yeah.
I read books out loud.
Maybe that's why Jasper likes country and western music so much, because that was my country and western phase.
Oh,
so,
that's funny.
Anyway, I was a redneck girl from the Bellevue Brothers, y'all. Don't go look up how old that song is. Okay, so let's talk about children's books.
And before we dive into it, we want to put this disclaimer out there. We want you to remember children's books are, especially the cover, it's to entice the child, but the parent will be the one purchasing the book. So you do not want to exclude them when you are thinking about writing the book with beginning with the end in mind of how you're going to leverage your book, what opportunities you're going to do. If you're going to go do readings at libraries or whatever that looks like, you want to make sure that you still implement the B squared method, the book to business, so that you're able to market it and have more sales. So I just wanted to put that out there before we get started.
Okay, it's out there.
It's out there.
Fantastic. Grammar queen.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the first thing we should think about when we're thinking about children's books?
The audience. The
audience. Absolutely. So with adult books, it's your audience is targeted more towards a specific group of people, but the audience for children's books is really about age group.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have had that situation before where we've gotten children's books and we're like, how old are you targeting this child to be again? Because that's a really big word for a first grader.
Right. Yes.
Not all first graders can be like you. You probably use those big words in first
No,
grade.
I think you did. You probably used them in
I
pre-K.
own that. I got in trouble for big words in elementary school.
Did you really?
I really did. I got in trouble more than once in school for using big words.
Wow.
But that's a true story. People would accuse me of plagiarism. Teachers would accuse me of plagiarism.
Really?
And one time I was very disrespectful to a teacher using big words, and she called my daddy.
Well, she didn't use 4-letter words.
No, I didn't use 4-letter words, more like 40-letter words, but but I don't think she understood what I was saying, and she called my daddy and told him I was disrespectful, and he asked me what I said, and I told him, and he said, well, that was not a good attitude, but you were probably right.
Kudos to that.
Okay, so yay, Pops. Okay, so audience, can you break it down?
Well,
we're going to get back on this, y'all. We're going to stay focused.
Yes, well, from 2 to 8 with the picture books, but I think even with that, it's around 500 words is a good number. But then I think the vocabulary and the dialogue would be completely different from the 2 to 5-year-olds, right, from the 5 to 8. So even then you want to kind of have that in mind if it's going to be a parent-led reading or if it's, well, of course, 2-year-olds. I mean, nowadays 2-year-olds can probably read, but
Good night, moon.
Right?
I know some 2-year-olds who can quote good night, moon.
Right. Yeah, but even around that 4 to 5 is when the beginner, the reading levels are starting. So, and I'll even say with my youngest and now the other kids, I mean, it took 4 times to get a kid that loves to read. So I'm really honing in on that, but he can do sight words like the months of the year, the days of the week. And I'm over here just baffled because, and it's not to compare, but I mean, I know it just as me as a child, I didn't learn that until
it's amazing the information that children can retain, which is one of the reasons, even though the word count may be less, especially for books for younger children, even though the word count is not very high, the words that you use really matter because they're really going to absorb those words and they're going to apply them to their vocabulary.
Yes.
So children can be very passionate about their books.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Can I tell you a funny story?
You can tell me a funny story. All your stories are funny for the most part.
So my oldest Jasper, okay, she's 22 now. And we were, I wanted to run to the store and my second child had been born. And so I had a baby in a carrier, the big carrier you got to carry. I needed to run to the grocery store. Jasper's in her room and she's looking at all of her books and probably a bunch of golden books and Cat in the Hat and Dr. Seuss stuff. And anyway, she's looking at her book. She's about 3. And I said, Jasper, come on, honey, we got to go to the store. And she says, take my book, Mommy. And I said, no, we're not going to take any books with us because I didn't want to lose the books.
Right.
We're not going to take the books with us. We're going to run to the store and come right back. No, Mommy, take my books. And I said, no, ma'am, you are not taking your books. And she stood up and she put her hands on her hips and she said, Mommy, let's negotiate. And so apparently, hi, Aisha. Yeah, Aisha's on. Okay, so apparently I had been using the word negotiate with my 3-year-old far too much.
You probably did a lot of negotiating at that when she was that age.
Probably did.
I'm doing it at 4.
Yeah, so, and that toddler age, they get some great argumentative skills.
Yes, they do very well.
So they debate well.
Yeah, very well.
So those words they really, really matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and she really wanted that book, but she did not get to take that book.
So the negotiation was not in her favor.
We were not negotiating.
Well, Jasper, we're so sorry for that. Yeah.
She still tries to negotiate with me. Okay, so let's move up. So like ages 5 to 9,
yes,
they're beginning to read.
So they're
and those
need to
can
be easy
really
readers.
fun, right? Like Sam I Am. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I Am. Yeah. I've read that a few times.
And me too. Not
do
in a
you
train.
remember several episodes ago we were talking about writer's block and we were talking about Dr. Seuss? Do you remember the thing about his hats?
That he would sit in the closet and put on.
He had on like 900 hats. And if he got writer's block, he would put on a hat. So I thought that.
So y'all go out and buy a hat if you have writer's block.
If you have writer's block, please go buy a very weird hat. That would help you, I'm sure. So anyway, that sounded so professional. Okay, but with those books, you use like 1,000 words or less.
Right, yes.
You can go up a little bit more. Okay, but again, it's all about word choice, y'all.
Yes.
And here's the great thing. Just pumping up the whole editor the need for editors. If you don't know all the right vocabulary for those age groups, it's okay. We do. So
well, she does. I'm not going to make that claim.
We
for myself.
do.
I'm learning
we
it.
do. We do. So anyway, okay. So then you have like ages 7 to 10,
right?
And that's when we really get into the chapter books. And so we talked some.
Like Alistair said that Dr. Seuss is the king of children's book writing.
Alistair,
yes.
He just is. Yeah. He's just a really cool guy, Alistair. I have to admit. Okay, so, but the great thing about chapter books is that that's when kids can actually get into complex storylines.
Yes.
And that's when they can actually understand suspense and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so another plug for reading to your children. Did you know that reading out loud to your children not only increases their comprehension, but when you read according to the punctuation, like if there's a comma, you pause, it helps children understand the symbolism of punctuation
Where did you pull
language.
that fact from? You just pulled it out of the sky.
I just know it. I'm
You're
so
awesome.
sorry.
You are so awesome. It's because you bought the glasses, right?
Yes. I'm sorry. I should have said that with my smart glasses on. Yes. So
that was good. That's very good.
It really is true, though, that when you use I say that because if you're writing a children's book, don't think that using punctuation is overthinking. The punctuation really does matter because it is a language within a language. Punctuation is symbolism that is kind of like a subculture is to a culture. It's a sub-language to a language.
You are so smart. I just soak up all your wisdom.
Oh my goodness.
With or without your smart glasses on.
Oh my gosh. You need to go on to the next point. It's getting deep in here.
Okay. So 8 to 12, middle school, middle grade books. So it could be anywhere from 7 to 10,000 words. Some of them can be upward to 20,000, depending on, I guess, the novels and the fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is when, I guess, even the ages 7 through 10 and 8 through 12, that's when they don't have pictures anymore. And, not that I gave up reading at that age, but it wasn't nearly as fun.
Okay. So this is a really great place to talk about visualization with words. because yes, that is when the pictures in the books start to go away, but it is the writer's responsibility to paint the picture. So you as the author, when you start getting to that stage in writing books for juveniles, you've really got to focus on painting a picture with your words. So it's not just about the storyline anymore. It's also about giving the reader something of interest.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not going to be, a fun book.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say even with the 8 to 12 group, you normally have a protagonist that's similar to the age of the reader. So I'm looking at, what is the book? It's not Matilda. There was another book, not Nancy Drew. What is the Ramona? Beezus and Ramona.
Beezus and Ramona.
Beezus and Ramona. Yeah. Now I did read those, and I enjoyed those books when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So another thing about books for juvenile age children, preteens and teens. Yes, they don't have pictures, but they're still making that transition from pictures to no pictures. So the cover is really, really important. Beverly Cleary. Yes, Jasmine, you're right. So the cover is really, really important. So you will want to, sometimes as adults, we make our book covers so that they catch. Yes, we love Beezus and Ramona. That they, as adult books, we kind of leave something just kind of hanging in the picture. It's a mystery. We want people to read the book because they're intrigued. What does that cover really mean? What is that? Why did they pick that cover? Like The Secret, that book, The Secret,
right? Yes.
Was very obscure.
Right.
What did that mean? Okay. But with preteen and adolescent books, you've got to really add something on the cover that will intrigue that age reader, because as they're going through, if there are 3 characters, they want to see those 3 characters on the book because they want to know what they look like.
Right.
And they have to look like what they're described, how they're described in a book. But that helps. So if you're writing and you're creating and you're working with illustrators on our team and stuff, you want to make sure that transition is made, because that helps them transition and keep loving reading, which is really important.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. So,
well, you can disagree.
No, I agree with you.
I would love to argue with you.
No, I do not.
On the internet for the whole world to see.
No, we're not going to argue. We're going to get along.
Y'all, we can't argue. Like, it doesn't happen. One of us will bust out laughing and the argument's over. Okay. So, most important elements of a children's book. We've talked about audience a lot, but that's because it's really, really important. But what else matters?
The characters. You want to make sure that the characters are unforgettable, whether it be in the children, the younger children's books, or the preteen books, whatever that looks like. Right. You want to make sure that they're unforgettable.
So sometimes they're unforgettable because they're a cat that wears a hat and has strange poetry erupting from his whiskered mouth. Okay. That the cat in the hat, everybody knew because he was a cat. And, like I was talking about the mouse and the motorcycle, the mouse was the focal point, the main character of that book. But sometimes, the character is unforgettable because it's actually a character that children can relate to.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so it's okay for it to be a boy or a girl or a child from a particular background, or has a specific skin color or something like that, because that is maybe the purpose of that book, and children can relate to that character.
Yeah.
And so those things really matter. So you're right. Yeah. Those characters are super important.
Yeah. Well, and I even look at that as reading like Love You Forever to my kids. Like, I mean, I really resonated with that mom, and then just looking at how she aged throughout. Like, I mean, I really, connected with that, that reader. And it was, really, I guess,
I feel so out of the loop.
Love You Forever? Are you
I've
serious?
never,
Oh my
never
God.
read that
Y'all,
book.
pause.
Okay, please
pause.
don't send me hate mail
Look,
if you love that book.
Look, I'm probably gonna have to bring you that book. Oh my gosh. It was like the best book. It's like, I can't even think of the rhyme that goes along with it. But it's like, I love you forever. I like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be. Are you serious? You do not know that song?
I really don't.
Oh my God.
Have you ever read Sir Gawain and the Loathly Lady?
No.
Okay, we're even.
No, we are not even. No, that has nothing to do. One has nothing to do with the other.
Yes, it's just Sir Gawain and the Loathly Lady is a wonderful story.
Love You Forever was like such an impact for kids. Are you serious?
I'm so sorry to disappoint you.
That's the first time you've let me down.
Palmer is officially let down.
Y'all, it is. But, well, I mean, you're just talking about the unforgettable characters. Like, I mean, like, I'm going to have to bring you that book.
Okay.
And we could save it for, years
it's a commitment, y'all. She is committed to me.
Yeah, like, I've got to bring
it's
that book.
out there.
Yeah. Okay, so
I'm going to get this book.
So let's keep going. Suspenseful action and hook. Let's see, unexpected, such as shocking or unexpected events, but it's a very effective way to draw in young readers. So typically for children's books, they sway away from that, but you can actually have shocking or unexpected events because it is going to keep the reader engaged.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, Wendy knows forever, my baby, you'll be. See, she knows.
Wendy, congratulations. I am so excited that someone else knows Stephanie's book.
That is like the book, the best.
I'm sure it is a fantastic book.
Jasmine says her 6-foot-year-old son still talks about Love You Forever book. Like that's it, man. It connects.
My kids read it.
Yes, it's a generation thing.
Okay,
so maybe you didn't read it to yours, but we'll save it. I will gift that to you when
I'm so
years
sorry.
down the road when you become a grandmother.
Years
down the road. Years. Yes.
Yeah, the Curious George. Yeah, Curious George was also
suspense. Yeah, he was always getting into trouble, and we know exactly what that character looked like, and he was going to have what they had an umbrella. What was it?
The man in the yellow hat.
The man in the yellow hat. And I'm thinking of too. What is that little girl that she always carried the umbrella and she was going everywhere, and like she was always getting in trouble. Yeah,
Madeline.
Yeah, I liked that too, and
she
I liked
was
the
French.
Yeah,
Madeline.
I liked that too. But those are and they had plots where she was getting in trouble, she was doing different things, and it drew me in because I guess maybe I was just that type of child.
Right. One of the great things about children's books is the dialogue.
Yes. Yeah.
So dialogue really matters. And again, this is where your word choice is going to be very important.
Yes.
Very, very important, because sometimes you're going to, as a children's author, you're going to insert dialogue that is a bad example of dialogue. And then you're going to follow up with dialogue that is improved dialogue. And it shows growth to the child. Mm. The book character made a mistake. The book character resurrected him or herself. Good morning, Jency. And so you want that character's growth to transfer to your child.
Yes.
You were telling me this morning that even the books that you've been reading to Z, he's transferring the knowledge of those characters into his own life.
Yes.
And that can be really good. You also have to be very careful what you're letting your kids read because of that transfer.
Yes.
So, okay. So in addition to that, there's the storyline. Guys, when you have a point to make in a children's book, make sure you follow through with it. Make sure you follow through with it. You can't just make a blanket statement and leave it hanging like you can with an adult.
Yeah.
An adult has the potential to apply a cloaked statement, about I'm not sure I'm being very clear, but you can, for instance, mic drop.
Right.
If I were to, if in a book, I were to say, drop the mic, which means
she said something powerful.
You can't say anything better than that. Like, that's a mic drop. Okay, an adult gets the inferencing there, A child
Right.
will not always get inferencing. And so you have to clearly follow the lesson with a statement about the lesson that was learned. The
Right.
character has to verbalize in the book what lesson has been learned,
Yes.
because you cannot trust that their inferencing skills are as mature
Right.
as an older child or an adult.
Yeah, and even in that instance, there are some occasions, now not my, drop the mic situation, but there are some other things that you can kind of put in there that can pose the question. So, they can, the parent can be reading the book, and then, they can be able to have dialogue with the child as they're reading. So that can be a teachable moment. But like she said, I definitely wouldn't include that in a child's book so that they
Right.
can't follow.
The other thing that you want to be careful, this just popped into my head.
Oh no, just kidding.
Okay.
Light bulb moment.
Yeah. So you need to be really, really careful about the context or situations that you present in a book, and make sure that there's something your audience is going to understand. So let's talk about state testing for a moment at the public school. This is just an example, and it will make my point. Many years ago, we won't say how many years ago, one of the standardized state tests decided in the state of Texas that they were going to put in some some reading comprehension stuff, and the questions were focused on a rodeo, and it gave a short paragraph about a rodeo situation, and then it asked these questions, right? Except that children in inner city schools had never seen a rodeo.
Wow.
They didn't understand the context, and so they all missed the questions because the context was relevant, and they had no baseline of knowledge for what a rodeo is, how it goes, who's there, what animals are present. There was just nothing there. And so if you're trying to reach a specific audience, make certain that you're using context, pictures, characters, and situations that they are actually familiar with.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. But Texas and rodeo, I guess I can see the connection there. But, like you said, the inner city kids.
Right.
Yeah,
we have to be really careful about that, though. Yeah.
That makes good sense. Okay.
I told you I had a
She
point.
did have a
Where's my
point, y'all.
smart glasses again?
Look, somebody give us an applause emoji in the comments.
Okay, so one of the biggest and most exciting parts of a children's book are the pictures.
Yes, the illustrations got to be,
But that's actually the biggest work.
It is. Yes.
Oh my goodness,
yes.
Guys, the illustrations for a children's book are significant work. Mm-hmm. And so can you talk about that for a minute? What does that look like?
Well, I just know depending on, I know you get a certain amount of characters. The more characters you have, the longer the dialogue. All of those play a part, because you have to remember children's books are typically within 14 to 30 pages. So you're limited with space, with dialogue, and your pictures really have to speak to the context. It really has to speak to the message.
Pictures carry your story.
Oh, that's good. Say that one more time.
Excuse me. Hold on.
Yes, yeah. Wait for the glasses.
Your pictures carry your story.
There you go, y'all. And a lot of people think that when they're getting ready to write, like, oh, I want to write a children's book. I want to touch the world. I want to help these kids, but they don't take that into consideration. The writing part, it's a breeze. Well, I say it's a breeze. It's not really an actual breeze, but it's less work.
It's less work.
It's less work than the illustrations.
We probably spend on children's books. We probably spend 70 to 80% of our energies on the illustrations, and not on the verbiage.
Yes,
because the verbiage can be, taken care of, racked up, lickety split. But the pictures are really a big deal. And I'm sure that you have children that, you've read books to, and you understand how important those pictures are. Mm-hmm. Oh, and just FYI, if the picture's wrong, a kid's going to find it. I just want y'all to know that they have a little homing device somewhere in the middle of their forehead. I have no idea where it is. I've not found it on my children yet, but they will find the mistake in the picture. They will find it, guaranteed, promise. Yeah. I don't know why, but they will. My children did anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So.
I mean, you have to be able to match the dialogue to the picture for sure.
Right.
So that's really, I guess, the biggest misconception and hiccup that a lot of people have is because you don't think that even when you're getting ready to write a children's book, like we have two here of some of our authors.
Yay.
And if you look the illustrations, I'm backwards.
You're good.
That's what
great.
What it's all about. Now this one has words and they're bigger context or bigger in size, but you've got to think about the pictures. You have to think about what you want it to look like, and then also you can have a visual of what that image looks like. However, you also have to rely on the expertise of the artist that is in the children's
Wendy agrees
industry.
with me. Thank you, Wendy.
That's a good save from Not Know and Love You Forever.
Okay.
So we'll give you that, Wendy. But yeah, so knowing how you want the characters to look. Now and we'll share more about our processes at a different time. So if you've thought about writing a children's book, you can definitely reach out to us. But how we typically do it is you send images, you want to study first. Want to study children's books. You want to study the characters, the different the formats of the children's books. There's so many different dynamics that go into children's books that people dismiss altogether because they think all it is some words and a picture, and there's so much more to it.
It's kind of like the iceberg concept. You know what
Right.
I'm talking about?
Yes,
The iceberg. When you see an iceberg, you only see the little bitty tip above the water, and 70 to 80% of the iceberg is below the surface, and you don't see it, which is why the Titanic sank. And so we don't want your book to sink like the Titanic. And so we're going to help you take care of everything you can't see below the surface, but you must understand that it is there.
Yes.
It is there. So we haven't talked about one of my favorite parts about children's books.
What is your favorite part about children's books?
The rhyme.
Yes. Okay.
Rhyming.
Yeah, the wording, the voice that you have throughout. Yes, absolutely.
Right. It's really, now some rhymes are bad.
Yes, they are.
Some rhymes are bad. But my son Tanner used to get up every morning and come in. Like literally, he would do this off the top of his head. He would come in every morning and he would have a poem or a song that rhymed, and it would be a fresh write every day. Like he would have something that he could just blow off the top of his head, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was
absolutely.
really kind of curious what he's going to come up with each morning. He did that for years and years.
Oh, wow. Tanner, this oldest, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He's a Howard Payne University young, playing a little football, little bit of a pre-med major. So, but it made it interesting, and he was a big reader and still is a big reader. And those words. So the great thing about rhyme is it helps children increase their vocabulary because once you have one word that you've learned, then another word that sounds like it, that is it can be a homophone or it can just be a word that rhymes.
Right.
It helps retain. It helps the brain retain
good.
that. And so writing in rhyme really works. If you do it well, like Dr. Seuss, Alistair, then yes, it can really work to your favor. And it's fun. It's fun.
Yes.
Shel Silverstein, now he is a children's poet. He did not write a lot of books like prose, but he was a poet, and he had some amazing poetry. Still reads Shel Silverstein. Loves Shel Silverstein. So what are some other things about children's books that we need to cover?
The tense, past or present tense. And I will even say reading in present tense, I think is more of an impact than reading in past tense, because they feel like they're going, when as a child, you feel like you're, on the journey with them. So you want to make sure I encourage present tense as opposed to past tense, but whatever you're going to write in, you need to make sure that you have that flow, and you can't go back and forth, because a child is not going to differentiate between past and present. They're just, receiving the information that 9 times out of 10, especially,
Right.
and I'm just relating to my 4-year-old, what I read to him, he doesn't know whether it happened yesterday or today, because every day is tomorrow, so.
Right. Right. Now, in Color Within the Lines, one of our authors, Lasagna Mahoney, okay, she wrote Color Within the Lines. All right. So in this book, you have a grandmother and a granddaughter who are having a conversation. And in that conversation, the grandmother pulls out some old pictures, and it was necessary for the grandmother to speak in past tense. But then the conversation moved back to present tense and even future tense. So it kind of depends on the book, but you are right. If we can stay in one tense,
Yes.
especially for younger children,
Yes.
it really serves a purpose.
Yes.
So, and then also the person. So the person that you talk in, like whether it's first person or third person.
Yes.
That I think that children can relate more to characters when they're in first person. But I don't know. Maybe that could be arguable. Someone may have an opinion on that.
Yeah, that's something to even think about, to consider. Studying and looking. Reading children's books just to see what that dialogue could be, to see what you.
So we have a few children's authors who are actually working on series.
Yes.
Right. And so that's another thing that you want to think about, is what you do in the first book is really, if you're going to write a series of children's books, you need to be consistent through the series. And so be very mindful of that. I mean, don't get to the point where, you've got an ulcer and you're overthinking it. Seek the help of a qualified professional editor.
Yes.
I'm just going to let that resonate for a minute. Okay. But it does make a difference, in the future books. So I didn't realize how much fun I would have with this particular topic today.
And I'm really excited. Like I really want people to write more children's books. I think it's great. I'm even working on a few things behind the scenes, so I'm putting that out there because my 4-year-old actually wants to write a book. We don't know what that's going to look like. We keep going back and forth, but just to have that out there, and it's something new that I guess we started doing it recently, but we haven't been promoting it as much, but we definitely are going to put that on the forefront. So if you've been thinking about writing a children's book, if you need some direction on what that looks like, we would definitely love to help. Because it's a fun topic, because it's really, and I love what you shared about enhancing the child. The parent is going to be the one to purchase the book, but having the child in mind and, making a difference in a child's life. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah. And I would also just encourage not just books for younger children, but those children who are in those very formative stages.
Yes.
Like grades 2 through 6,
yes.
They need good children's books, good chapter books that will encourage them to read. Yeah. And there are several series out there that have really have encouraged children to read and to pick up books and become better readers. But we still need more. Right. We still need more, because many of the books that I think part of it is you need something that's relevant to the era that you're in. And so The Mouse and the Motorcycle, I talked about that because I love to read that to my kids.
I just think of Stuart Little when you say that. So I know it's probably.
Yeah, Stuart Little was a really good one. There are those stories, The Secret Garden.
Yes.
The Secret Garden was a great, great chapter book. Okay, but again, those are some examples of things that are somewhat timeless. But a book today could have something to do with a cell phone, because most kids have cell phones. Yeah. And what does that look like? There can be some completely different contexts that you could tie in that will draw a child's attention because they can relate. Yes. And so I just want to encourage you, if you really feel like you have a good story for a kid, hey, let's talk about it. We
Yeah.
can work through that because that's what we're here to do. We're
Yes.
here to help you. We're here to serve you. We want to help your book be better.
Yes,
So-
absolutely. And I'm really big on processes, but I know even for time's sake, I'm not going to go into the process that we have
Yeah.
for children's books, but we have narrowed everything down and it made it very simple. And we walk with you through the process. So yeah,
Got it.
so I know, right? Tongue twister. But if you've considered writing a children's book, or someone that's been on their heart, that's been on their mind, maybe they're in children's ministry, maybe they're a teacher that wants to, Wendy said that she was a preschool teacher for X amount of years. Even teachers to be able to take their book into the classroom and think of the impact that it would make to those children that are being able to listen to their teacher read a book that she or he wrote. So, yeah.
Oh, and I would just like to put out there bilingual books.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Es muy importante para todas personas en los Estados Unidos hablan dos lenguas. There are many, many children who are learning to read, who are bilingual, and they're still transferring language. Oh, good, Wendy. I'm glad to hear that.
So we're just dropping that hint in
we're
there.
just dropping that hint. Hello, hello, hello. But I would encourage you that I think it's important that we write books in more than one language, because some of these children we need to reach, and we're not going to always reach them if it's just in English. Or maybe it could be done in Spanish and English, or another language in English. So if that is something that you can do and you have that gift, or if it's something you would like to do, I'm pretty sure we can work through that. I'm not.
No.
I'm really.
There's
just
a
putting that
solution to
out
every
there.
problem. Yeah.
So I'm not going to be your Spanish tutor, but
She could be your Spanish tutor.
No. All right. So I just hope that you guys have been inspired. I hope you've had some fun with us today. We always have fun with you.
Yes.
Often at our expense. But
Right.
Anyway, I am Dr. Charli, the book mama.
And before I close, I'm going to say, if you want that information, reach out to us at selfpublishin30days@gmail.com. You can also go onto the website and receive the free ebook. We do not have the children's book version just yet as far as the processes go, but we would love to hear from you if that's something that's been on your heart. I'm Stephanie Palmer, the Grammar Queen.
Because I wasn't wearing my smart
Oh,
glasses.
we get to say it again?
I'm going to say it again.
Okay,
This is
no
Dr.
close.
Charli, the book mama.
Stephanie Palmer, the Grammar Queen.
Hope y'all have a really great day.
Bye.